Welcome to another video, pretty important one. I think you're gonna like it. And today we're gonna be working on two Volvos simultaneously. Of course, my XC70 T6 and also my friend's 2013 S80 T6. Both of us have the same issue, the door hinges, they become loose, and we're gonna show you the complete repair start to finish. Before we begin, I must share with you the video that I have followed from Evgeny in Moscow. He runs a channel which is called Uyechal 999. Lots of information on his channel, and this is where I found the problem that might be on my XC70. I watched this video and yep, I have the same issue on my XC70. Who would have thought? So I recommend you watch that video too. You can turn on the subtitles because it is in Russian, but I recommend, and I'm gonna leave all the links in the description below. Before we begin, I'm gonna show you the parts that are needed. Each of us has ordered a kit. One kit will repair one hinge, made in Germany, and you're not gonna believe this kit costs 100 Canadian dollars, around 100 bucks, which is insane for a piece of metal and a nut. Unbelievable price. Now look at the S80 here. The door is slightly sagging down, and I recommend to all P3 owners to check. Open your door, see if it catches on the lock, because this one here is definitely catching when you lock it, when you close it, I mean. And you just lift it like this and you feel for play. If you have play, you gotta do this repair. So keep watching here. We're gonna show you how the hinge is gone bad.
Не шатай так, чтобы только машина поднималась.
And this is completely shot. I would say overdue. Should have been done way before you get to this point. Only the lower one is acting up. The upper one is okay. My advice, do both of them. Just for the sake of it. Yes, it's gonna cost you 200 bucks, but save on labor. We did switch the wheels here. My cross-country wheels are on the S80, just for fun. Now let's check my door. And it's very hard to see, but there is a very slight movement in the hinges, especially the upper one. Only later, when I was editing the video, I've noticed the movement on the camera, on the footage. Otherwise, it's barely noticeable, and the upper one is acting up more than the bottom one.
Да. А ну делай вверх, еще подергай туда-сюда.
We'll begin with Torx 40.
Торг 40. Что-то слабо.
Вот сейчас может. Не знаю.
Now to detach the connector, take a screwdriver and lift up this lock mechanism. Carefully pry it upwards. It was never removed, so that's why it takes some more time, but eventually it will slide off the door, just like that. Now 10mm wrench. You wanna remove the two bolts on the lower hinge and the upper hinge. And you know, taking the door off takes literally 15 minutes tops. I recommend you do it with someone, don't do it by yourself, because the door is pretty heavy, especially when you're putting the door back onto the car.
Идет легко, причем оно трещотка не срабатывает. Не очень.
The top bolt is reversed, you remove it from the bottom of the hinge.
Тоже легко.
Не так страшно.
Тяжелая?
Now let me tell you, the door is super heavy. I was very surprised how heavy it is. And we've got 4 of these on the car.
Я вижу по тебе.
Просто. Вот это. Поэтому петли летят. Вес такой.
Now we can see everything with the door off the car. The bottom hinge that's welded onto the frame rusted for some reason. There is an insert on the hinge that wears out, and hence you have this movement.
Да, непонятно.
Now here you can see the remainings of the insert that has worn out and actually just folds out of the hinge. At the bottom, this is the factory rivet, I would say. This is what you need to drill out. Now I took a 7/16 drill bit, and carefully we're gonna drill the rivet out.
Крыло не пропусти.
Конечно, таки хочу.
Все. Вытащил, ну ставь назад.
Легко. Ой.
Ага. Окей.
This will go into the garbage. Now we're gonna remove as much as possible all the rust and prepare it for some protection. Make sure to spend some time cleaning the rust from inside, because this is where the new insert will be living later. And this is the tools that we used to complete the job here. Before we protect it, we want to make sure that we degrease all the surfaces using just alcohol from a local drugstore.
Может ливануть на него все и все.
Тут
Чтобы вовнутрь.
You can be as creative as you want to. You can buy a matching paint in a can, but since the place is barely visible, you're not gonna see much of a difference. So this was Sergey's choice here.
Да.
The next step is a must. The door is off the car. You must check your wires in the loom here.
Изолента есть?
So just remove the rubber grommet as far as possible, and you're gonna see this zip tie that's holding the wires onto the plastic, whatever it is, right here.
Давай, откусываем.
And this is where the wires get worn out and they break off, and then you have problems, electrical problems with your window switches and your locks, whatever is connected to the door. You wanna cut off this zip tie, remove the tape and inspect the wires carefully. And make sure you do this, because this will prevent any future problems if you don't have those problems already. We're gonna remove the factory tape.
Все целое.
We're gonna inspect the wires. They look okay at first glance, but then look what we find. The two thickest wires are worn out. The insulation is gone bad.
Понял?
The wires are still intact pretty much, but this is the problem that will be a much bigger issue later. So what you want to do here is just tape it off, separate those wires. We're gonna tape it off, and we're gonna get rid of that. We already got rid of the zip tie. You're gonna use just electrical tape to prevent problems later.
Я тебе сразу скажу, что напишут, что надо было тряпичной.
The wires are taped off. Now we're gonna just tape everything to that plastic holder. Don't use a new zip tie, because the zip tie is the cause for the problem here. And I'm pretty much 100% sure that all cars will have this problem, so make sure to check yours. So the driver door wiring is repaired. Hopefully it will last for a long time now, and I'm very curious to see what is the condition of my wires on the driver door, since it's 09 already. Everything back into position, ready for the door. Now let's get back to the hinges. This is the new kit. This is the insert that wears out. You're gonna get a new one in the kit. The video that I showed you earlier, the Russian version, the guys in Russia are using homemade inserts. They're trying to save and not pay $100 for the kit. This is how the top hinge works. This is what the door is sliding on when you open it and closing it on this weird material insert. So the kit works for both hinges, the lower and the upper. There is no difference. If you want to do this job properly, just buy 2 kits per door. And most likely that the driver door will be the worst, the door that opens more frequently. Makes sense here.
Дверь крутится, получается, на этой втулочке. И вот она и разбивается.
Let's check the upper hinge. It's actually on the door, not on the frame of the body. And later we'll show you how to properly check the upper hinge right here. Unfortunately, we didn't check it on Sergey's S80, but on my XC70 a bit later you'll see how to properly check for play. So stay tuned. Let's begin the installation. We're using some grease here.
Так, ошиблись, да?
First you wanna put the insert onto the hinge.
Её туда вставить.
Да, еще туда. Что-то мне кажется.
Нажать.
Так, тут чуть-чуть. Чтоб легче шел. Это вот так, да?
Да. Чтоб видно было.
Ну да.
О.
Он легче сюда идет. Да, видишь, теперь она едет.
Using a rubber mallet, put it into position, and this time it's definitely much tighter, and it's definitely gonna fix the issue. There will be no more play.
нас так, на 11 сверху, давай. Давай. О, крутится она, да?
And just hand tighten the kit here.
Понятно, конечно,
Don't over tighten it, just go nice and snug.
Ну все, так больше не буду.
Now it's time to put the door back onto the car. Definitely a two-man job here.
Давай ты направляй, я возьму.
Я ничего не вижу. Абсолютно. Что-то вижу.
Стой, пусти.
Now first what Sergey is doing is connecting the connector. It's much easier to do it now than later. There is not much room. And once you align the door, it just sits perfectly without even putting the bolts in.
И что, нажимать?
Finish the connector by just pushing on the upper tab, and this will lock the connector into position. Now the bolt so the door doesn't open too wide.
Хорошо, вырежешь это. Оно само, видел, съехало куда надо.
А, я думал, это ты.
Нет.
Так, все, чуть-чуть. Там оно было не сильно зажато по длине.
The two bolts are identical, so it doesn't matter where they go. We're gonna start with the bottom one.
Типа в растопырку. Ну, видишь, в тени даже не видно, что там.
Ну, слушай, я доволен, что у тебя петля сделана.
А я как доволен.
Не будешь переживать теперь, что там. Сейчас интересно зазор увидеть, знаешь, в двери.
А, ты снимал, я видел
Да.
сразу, да? Не сильно, вот как-то так.
Ну все.
And again, nice and snug here at the bottom and up top. And it's very interesting to see the result. Sergey is gonna move the door up and down, and there is zero play. The whole car is just lifting up and down.
Ну, я вижу, машина двигается. А ну еще пошатаю я там с фонариком.
And as you can see, the paint actually doesn't look too bad, barely noticeable the difference.
поднимаешь?
Zero play. The door now sits perfectly. A little secret, we did also adjust the weather strip molding, and the door is just closing and opening nicely here. There is no more catching on the lock. It means it doesn't sag anymore. This is how it was before, so big difference. Sergey's car is done. Let's begin with my XC70. We're not gonna show here all the procedure. Taking the door off the car.
Ну, чуть-чуть, Юра.
And much better condition here, a lot less rust, just slightly bit on the edge of the hinge. The upper one is in perfect condition. So again, drill out the factory whatever it is, rivet that holds the hinge in place. Now remember how Sergey's insert was completely degraded, it just fell out. Well, mine is still alive here, and it's there. So there it is. And again, what we found out is that I have much bigger play on the upper hinge than the lower one. So we're gonna again file and sand away as much rust as possible. This is the result after some elbow grease. And now some protection. We put 2 layers. Now this is how you check for play on the door hinge, on the actual door, the upper one. Just take those wise, I don't know what they're called, the lock pliers, lock it into place, and now with leverage you can see that I have play on the upper hinge on the door. There it is. But the problem is that I only ordered and I have 1 kit. So unfortunately I'm gonna order another kit, another $100 from the dealer. I'm gonna call them immediately. This is how you check for play. We're gonna wait and we'll have to take the door apart again, because we're gonna be waiting for some parts. Now let's check the wiring. Let's remove the rubber grommet from the connector and the body of the car and take a look. 2009, there is a zip tie, but there is no electrical tape. So apparently Volvo knows about the problem. They did include on the newer cars electrical tape, but that doesn't solve the problem. It still wears out the wires. Let's cut off the zip tie and inspect the wires. Very interesting. 100,000 kilometers on the car, 2009. No problems with electrics for me so far. And look, same thing. The thickest wires are damaged. The insulation is worn out. The actual threads are still intact. So we're gonna tape off. I have actually 4 wires that are damaged, 2 thick and 2 thin ones. We did tape it off, each wire separately. And we got rid of the zip tie and taped it to the plastic. So hopefully this will last a long time. Let's put everything back into position. This hose is actually the washer fluid for the back window.
Подожди, так.
Тихо, не надо, оно легко стоит. А, точно. Это этот надо будет.
And what's interesting is that when I ordered this part from a dealer, they said that they've never sold any of those kits for repair. So I'm wondering how many owners are not aware that their door hinges are going bad. So again, check yours.
Тяжелее заходит.
Там уже еще туда этот захерачили.
А, краска.
Грунт.
Краска, точно. Тут по втулке.
Вот эта штука ездит по втулке.
По вот той черной херне. Просто мы забиваем, но оно будет затягивать вот эти.
Now when you tighten the nut, it will actually compress and just set into position, as you can see right here.
Видишь? Что там треснуло? Сильно?
Не знаю. Хорош.
So the door is back on, and yep, confirmed there is still play when the door is slightly open. This is where the play is noticeable, so definitely the upper hinge needs to be repaired too. I did order the part, it will take a few days to come in, so we're gonna come later and take the door again off and do the upper hinge as well. So here is another day, actually a few days later. The door is off the car again. There is not much room here to drill, so I'm using a Dremel here to shave off the rivet, or maybe it's called something else, whatever it is, but this is what worked for me.
Пошло? Выпало, да. Это плоскогубцами подцепить. Видишь?
And now carefully we want to take out the old insert, which is still intact but still has some play in it. And again, I think the play that I had is very small, but I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna do this job now and just forget about this issue for the next 10 years, hopefully.
Ну так иначе надо и назад ставить. Снизу. Получается наоборот.
Okay.
Теперь его надо ставить вот так.
Now the upper hinge, the orientation is a bit different. You go from the bottom up compared to the bottom one.
11, а сверху 13.
С горем пополам.
Может они что-то поменяли, может оно лучше будет держать.
Сомневаюсь. Так мы говорили, сильно, да?
Да, тут так ощутимо было. Хорош. Уже, мне кажется, дохуя.
Да, крутится нормально.
Там просто, наверное, уже по-другому сделано.
And let's check for some play, and there is none. Well, very obvious. Installing the door back onto the car. The door has zero play after replacing both inserts on both hinges. Hopefully this video was very helpful to all of us who own the P3 Volvos. Thank you for joining me, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, don't forget the notification bell. And yes, I know you're waiting for the subwoofer video installation, which I'm actually working on. Thank you and bye bye.